All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm going to do something a little different today because, as you know, I'm a retired Army officer, but for part of my career, I was a high school science teacher back in the 80s and early 90s. Um, I never had to deal with, and I want to talk about the Colin Gray case that's going on in the county just south of where I live. There's a tragic event on September 4th, 2024, where I believe and two two students and two faculty were murdered by Colin Gray's son, and he's been charged, of course, with 4 counts of first-degree murder. And but they're charging the dad too, and that's what this trial's about. But I've never. This gives me an opportunity to opine on what's going on in America's schools today that wasn't going on in the 80s and 90s when I was teaching, or the 70s when I was in high school. Um, it's really a sad state of affairs. So what you see on the screen right here is every classroom now has a surveillance cam. When I was teaching high school science, there was no cameras in my room, none. Also, you're going to hear some testimony that she can't search backpacks as a teacher. What? When I was teaching, I could search a kid for anything. We didn't have school resource officers. We never had shootings. Once in a while, we have a fight and somebody pull a knife, but that was I only think once in the whole time I was teaching, and that was against another student, not a mass killing thing. It was a fight between two boys, which I had to break up, which is cool. I mean, that was my job. And I was a coach, so I didn't mind doing my role in enforcing student discipline, like during lunches and my other off duty times when I wasn't teaching science classes. I was young, fit, and yeah, it wasn't a big deal. Anyways, I want to look at this, and then I got a couple other things I want. This is the first. This is we're in day three now, right? This is a review of day one or day two, really. This was late day one into day two. This teacher, I can't remember her name,
Emotional testimony.
but it's in a classroom where they go in, they learn TV production and they arts and using computers and all that stuff. And she's kind of there as a teacher, but also a monitor to help students do their independent projects. Colt Gray um, had not been in school for 15 months. He went in 9 schools in 8 years. Yeah, 9 schools in 8 grades, all across North Georgia. Jefferson Middle School, a school in Gainesville, a school in South Georgia, um, and his family was a mess. His mother's a drug addict, has issues. The father was trying to take care of 3 kids by himself because there was a restraining order. The mother couldn't come near the kids, couldn't even be in the same county with the kids. So there's a mess, right? And so this young man is obviously has challenges, and the dad was trying to help, I think, at certain points, and then also at other points maybe he didn't take things as seriously as he should have. But um, anyways, I don't want to go into my opinion, but let's just listen to this because this is so telling that I don't understand why they didn't take a quicker action. Because if they did, um, we'd be in a different position today because that wouldn't have happened. If this teacher had taken action, I mean, I think she thinks she took action, but she didn't take enough action, in my opinion. And maybe the way the school is run is why she couldn't take as much action as needed. So let's just listen here.
From parent, from witnesses, even the sheriff himself of Barrow County, Judd Smith. He described having to tend to victims, including a student named Natalie, who told him, "Do not cover me with that sheet. Do not cover my face. Please don't let me die," he recalled. And then he broke down having to use a tourniquet on her, something that's extremely painful, to save her life. And then he also described the moment of having to tell these family members that they had lost their loved ones. We also had emotional testimony from Colt Gray's second period teacher, Catherine Greer, who was in tears, describing going up to the door because Colt was knocking on the door and seeing through the window.
So I'm sorry. This isn't the teacher I was referring to. This is the teacher who's next door to the other one, uh, or next door to the other math teacher. She's a math teacher, and her classroom was where Colt got into and shot up the classroom. I think killed one and injured two there.
Him holding a gun.
I said he's got a gun. I told the kids in the corner. I started pressing my son teacher's badge.
Tell me about this Centegix bag you're referring to.
This is quite the technology, Centegix badge. You click it eight times, and it alerts every law enforcement area around the area that there's an active shooter thing. Holy mackerel! We did fire drills. Get anyone out in case of a fire, not for an active shooter. This is insane. What has to happen in school?
All the teachers have a badge. Sorry.
And we can see in surveillance video her hitting the panic button, the panic system.
So this teacher is they're messing up because this isn't the same teachers that were just talking. It was. Yes, it is. So he didn't get into this teacher's room. I apologize. Yeah, he was at the door, and she saw a gun because he left the teacher's room to go to the guidance counselor sometime before that. And he came back. He had this massive backpack with this big thing sticking on the top. We put poster board around it and then a hat, like a snow hat. And no one questioned this. Are you kidding me? He said that it was a school project. This is only his second day in school. School's been in for 2 weeks, but he skipped every other day. This was his second day at school.
Multiple times, the students running to one side of the room and huddling together. And then we hear a 911 call from one of the students inside of that room.
Do you know where the shooter is? I don't know if he was in front of the shooting there. Who is the shooter?
At that moment, I could hear a family member in the row behind me say, "Oh God." And I could hear many of them crying, sniffling, and one of them turned away.
It was brutal. I watched it live.
Face this testimony that was going on.
She's right.
Really so emotional, so painful. We heard an emotional testimony from parents, from witnesses, even the sheriff himself of Barrow County, Judd Smith.
Okay, I want to go back.
He described having to...
I want to go back to the very beginning and look at this. So this is the teacher I was talking about in the arts room, right? So this is the teacher. I can't remember her name. I'll have to look it up. But he has underneath his desk that backpack, and it's sticking out. She testified 2.5 feet off the top, poster board around it, clothes around it, and that snow cap on top of it. She said it looked heavy, and the prosecutor asked her, "Could you inspect his bag?" And she said, "No, I'm not allowed to as a teacher." Now that is absolutely ridiculous. Where we live and these rights that these kids have, I mean, god dang. When I was teaching school, no one had book bags. They weren't allowed. I had authority to go into anyone's locker and look for something. What have we done? Anyways, he asked her. This is second day in school. He asked that teacher right there, this teacher right here. He asked her, "Do you guys do active shooter drills here?" What an odd question for a 14-year-old. And then he asked her, "What is the bathroom pass policy?" I guess they're not allowed to go to the bathroom in between transitioning classes. Now, I never heard of that because that's when we encouraged kids, when I was teaching, to go to the bathroom so they didn't have to interrupt their studies. Well, they can't go during transition. Once they are in transition, they got to go to their next class. Once they get to the next class, they can request to go to the bathroom. They sign up This is how crazy it is. They sign up for when they want to go to the bathroom. In what order? It's by like whoever signs up first. Then they go get a pass. They sign out when they leave and when they come back. So Colt here is in first period. This is first period. He transitions to second period, which is that other teacher. This classroom. Where is it? Get to there. Which is this classroom. He was sitting right over here, and he didn't sign up to go to the bathroom. Instead, he told her he had to go see his guidance counselor. She allowed him to go see the guidance counselor because she knew it was only his second day in class. He also then picked up this big heavy book bag, and no one said anything. Now, the first teacher, to her credit, she did say, like, after class though, she went to the guidance counselor's office or something, assistant principal, whatever, and said, I don't know what's going on with him, but she had this burning thought in her head while she was standing there during transition that he might have a gun. I mean, why don't you click the centric sync 8 times then? Have a false alarm. A false alarm is better than people being killed and injured. Unbelievable. I guess they're afraid of their job, right? It's their job. Maybe if they do this, they get in trouble. They'll lose their job. But I got to say, we got to do better. Anyways, this is the math teacher, Algebra 1 teacher. It's her 3rd year teaching at that school. Or she's in her 3rd year. I think she was her 1st year that year. And they have a beautiful setup. They have nice whiteboards. It's amazing. We never had anything like that. But he leaves, and then another boy leaves, Colt's older brother, to go to the bathroom. Now, Colt's older brother came back. When he went to the guidance counselor, this teacher told the guidance counselor that he was coming. Well, Colt never showed up. And then, so they asked her, go to your email over the intercom. This teacher goes to the email and is asking, how long ago did he leave? And she wrote, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, whatever, right? But he never showed up down the hall. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. And then, now this door is locked. So they have a locked door policy at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. Meaning, when the kids come back, they got to knock on the door. Someone has to let them in. Well, in this case, because of this, and this is before they're all in this corner. I know it looks like a circle, but that's one of the corners of the room. She had her knock on the door. And she walked up to the door, and she saw it was Colt holding that AR-15 style rifle. She didn't let him in. You know where he went? To the next classroom. And shot up that classroom. That's absolutely insane. All right. I believe, okay, this is our first teacher right here. And let's just listen to this for a minute.
Middle school, in the 8th grade. And I asked him if he knew Elaine Murphy, that's one of the teachers at Jefferson.
Judge, I'm going to again object any hearsay.
And
Ms. Brooks, you have a response? Or?
I think we'll just move on from what she said back to him and go on to the next topic.
All right, so I'll sustain the objections to his last remarks. Go ahead.
Okay. So after y'all had the discussion, did he go back and sit down?
He did.
Okay. And this time I'm going to publish a clip from State's Exhibit 16. It's been previously introduced into evidence, and the clip is from 38 minutes and 23 seconds to 39 minutes and 12 seconds.
This is another graphic of the room. So here's Colt right here. That's Colt. This is the teacher. This is him walking over and asking, hey, do you have active shooter drills? There's other kids sitting around him. They're doing an assignment. In fact, this kid was trying to help him with his
I'm
assignment.
going to pause it briefly. Can you kind of tell the jury, just so they can make sure they see where you are and then also where Colin Gray is?
Sure. So over to this side over here, where you see the gold and white striped bulletin board, that's where my desk is. And
Is that all the way on the left of the screen?
yes, and then he is to the right of my desk. I don't know which one I can show you. So I'm here, and Colt is here, and this is where he was sitting.
Okay.
And this was Alex Johnson, and this was Tyler Graham.
It may facilitate things for these fisheye views to kind of refer to like the face of a clock, 9 o'clock, or
That's a good idea, Your Honor. And as far as the exit or the entrance to the classroom, the door, is that around 11 o'clock?
Mhm.
All right, thank you. All right, we can finish playing the clip. Okay. And does that clip show where he asked you about the active shooter drill?
Yes.
Okay. When he asked you that, did that concern you?
I mean, you don't expect to hear that in the classroom. I mean, we hear about school shootings, but you don't think it's going to happen to you. So it was
Yeah,
a little
see,
bit
that's
alarming.
I think that's one of the problems. You don't think it's going to be you, but you have a kid coming. Do you do active shooter drills? A kid who's never been to your school? Like I would have been on the intercom because we didn't have computers back then. We had an intercom, and I would have been on the intercom. Somebody come down here and get this kid. Or I would have been saying, well, I would have. First off, no kid would come in my room with a backpack with something sticking out, and me not ask him to show me what it is. Even if I didn't have authority, I'd ask, and I would find a way to find out. These kids would still be alive if these teachers took more responsibility and administration took more responsibility. I know that's harsh for them to hear, but it's the truth.
And I did send an email to the counselor in regards.
So she sent an email to the counselor. So she did the right thing. She sent an email. What did the counselor do? Nada. She said, he's asking me about active shooter drills. And counselor does nothing? That's retarded. Sorry. You failed. Counselor, you failed.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 32. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what do you recognize that as?
It's the email that I sent to Miss Butler.
Okay. And is it a fair and accurate copy of that email that you sent to Ms.
Well,
Butler
I hate this
on
lawyer
September
language.
4th?
Is it a fair and accurate copy? Of course it's a fair and accurate copy. Jesus. I know it's got to be on the court record. Is it fair and accurate? You're a teacher. God damn it. You wrote a one-line email.
This time I wanted to introduce into evidence State
What's
Exhibit
it?
32.
I mean, it took her that long to read this? Watch.
Okay, if we could display that for the jury. Okay, so you indicated that you sent this email to Miss Butler. Can you tell us who Miss Butler is?
She's the counselor that is in charge of his last name. So each counselor has a certain number of letters in the alphabet that they're in charge of.
But listen, look at her email. It might warrant a few questions. And just the fact that she had to tell the counselor that Colin Gray's in 9th grade. They should know that. Although the kid's been out of school, he's skipped school the whole beginning of the year. This is his second day in school. But you think this counselor, when the kid missed the first 2 weeks, they'd be like, where the hell is this kid? He's truant. Why isn't a truant officer? Or why don't you tell the SRO, and the SRO can send a truant officer to his house? Say, where's your kid? Everyone failed. From the school resource center, by the way, when I was teaching, we didn't have any. They failed. The sheriff's department failed. The teachers failed. The counselors failed. The administration failed, in my opinion. Colin Gray, Colt's father, may have some implications, and he's the one standing trial. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion only, being an ex-teacher and living in this area and having grandchildren that go to school not too far from here, y'all concern me wicked a lot. And I'm very disappointed as I watch this about the interactions of the teachers, the counselors, the administration, and the school resource officer until the shootings happened. And then they took appropriate action and they did great work to save more lives. But the fact that 4 died because of the inaction of other people is disgraceful on the Barrow County school system, the Appalachia High School, boldly committed to student success. How are you boldly committed to student success when you can't even take care to do the right thing? I know I'm upset because it upsets the hell out of me. Being a teacher for the years I loved teaching. I just couldn't make a good living at it. I mean, they paid us ridiculous. I think the first year I was teaching school, I got paid $16,000 in 1986. I had to coach 3 sports just to make 20 grand. Ridiculous. Had to deal with behaviors, for sure. You know, had to deal with kids fighting, for sure. But nothing like this. I feel so, I chastise the teachers, but I feel so bad for them. I don't know how they can go back into the classroom. There's another clip I'm going to show you another time because this is getting too long. Of the other math teacher where Colt goes next door after you saw that one teacher press a button 8 times. He went to the next classroom and someone opened the door. He came in blazing. Now that young lady, she's probably about 23, 24, 25 max now. So 2 years ago, whatever, she was a first-year teacher. And she had to deal with one of her students getting murdered. Another couple getting injured. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they go back. If my kid ever said he wanted to be a high school teacher, or my grandkids, because my kids are grown, they have their own careers. If my grandkids ever said they want to be a teacher, a police officer, in this day and age, or even a firefighter, I'd say you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. Because people in this country are insane. Parents don't hold the kids accountable anymore. We've taken Judeo-Christian ethics out of the schools. We've taken a woke culture into schools. Look at how some of these kids are dressed. Where is the parent discipline? You know what? It's because parents want to be their kids' friends today. Parents, you're not their friends. You're their parents. And your responsibility to know what's going on with your kid at all times, raise a good citizen, and be accountable. But teachers, you have the same too. You can't be their friends. And I've seen teachers, a lot of teachers locally, be students' friends. You're not their friends. You're their teacher. You're their professor. Think of it that way. All right, I've talked way too long. I really appreciate you listening to me. My name is Bill. This is WWP Reacts, and I'm reacting. You can see I'm reacting. This is a county right next to mine. I remember when it happened. It happened in Michigan before that. It happened in Parkland, Florida. It happened all over the place. But this happened in Winder, Georgia, a sleepy little town about 60 miles northeast of downtown Atlanta. Thank you all for watching, and have a blessed day. Please leave me comments. I'd love to hear what you think about what I'm saying. I really would, to be honest. Because maybe I'm out of touch. I'm 65 years old. Maybe I'm just like a wacky old boomer. But God, what is this? It's crazy, isn't it? Y'all let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. I enjoy doing it. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.